could you maybe share some questions that have been thrown to you, like while you were at Spotify during the interview process, or maybe even before at Runtastic? Was there certain questions that you got really got locked in, that you didn't know where to go, and that they helped you, or
technical ones, or more about the values?
Let's do one of both. Let's do first the technical one, and then let's listen more to the values.
Yeah, so a technical one was a very common problem of how to solve the problem of deadlock. I'd never, I'd heard of it, but I'd never approached it. And they could clearly tell it was my first time working around it, but they were still happy with how I did it. But yeah, I was a bit ashamed to tell them, like, hey, I've never actually tried to solve this. But they were satisfied with my solution. And then values-wise, or like special questions to throw me on the wrong foot, I don't remember anything too crazy. Yeah, usually there's also a bunch of standard ones about values, like when did you disagree with someone and how did you solve that. But
just to values question to see how you would work in certain situations as a person.
Yeah,
that's
but it's
often
really
happen
important
in the workforce.
That's the fact that you're working with actual potential colleagues, and which in my case some of my interviewers didn't actually end up being my day-to-day colleagues. Is that they check you for values during the whole thing. Okay. So they want to see how are you going to be in real life, and not only is everything technically correct on paper, because that can be you can rehearse for that.
Probably because the values are in every single step of the interview. It shows that the company as well. It's much more important to be a good person with similar values like the company, and not just be the best coder, because often even if you're the best coder but don't have the same values as the company, you will not get through the interview process probably.
Yeah, I believe communication is the most important skill, especially at scale. These big tech companies have the largest scale. For a product person, it's certainly true. It's communication, because that's literally your job, but I believe it's the same for an engineer.
Yeah, because where you can code, like we said before, to the listeners, is you can code something, but if no one understands it, is it valuable? Probably not.
Absolutely. It's one thing to be a wizard and build something crazy on your own, but more people will read your code than just you.
Yeah.
And it's going to be part of the company for potentially a very long time.
Correct. Then maybe one of the last questions, because in the online community there is a very, let's say, a strong community about learning for these interviews and really grinding out these standard questions. And isn't there a possibility that because these jobs are put on a very high level, before it was often like investment bank and other stuff, now it's often the best jobs seen in benefits wise, or for the big tech, and isn't it possible that you get so focused on the process of the interview process and all those technical questions that you get really good in that, but then actually you lose the real life skills of being a good programmer, and you're really good at solving little problems with data structure and algorithms.
You're the best at interviews.
You're the best at interviews, but when you come see a whole code base of the company, then you're like, "Oi, this wasn't in my book."
Yeah.
It's the same when the professor asks you a completely different question, which is still where you have to look all over the knowledge of your book, and then the person said, this was not in the example questions in my university book. So
no, totally. Totally, I would say there's even a book written about this, cracking the code interview. Mm-hmm. So it's definitely a sport that you can get good at, and it's required to be good at it, or at least know something about it. But it's not the whole story. Mm-hmm. And one way companies try to do something new is they will give you a take-home assignment that more closely mirrors what you would do as a day-to-day job. And the cool thing about that is there's less stress for you, because you have all the time usually, or you have 2 days and you can do it on your own time and experiment more. And there they really want to see, like, okay, how would you do this in real life? What extra do you bring? What design decision that you make? And then it can come up later for you to discuss why you did certain things. And I don't think it's necessarily bad to be over prepped and not have experience, because you need to start somewhere. And what the company might do if they see that you have the qualifications on paper but you lack the experience is to just give you a chance at an entry-level position. So you can start at the bottom if the values are right, because it's up to you to prove yourself. And they have to give you, if they believe in you, they have to give you a chance at some point. And the difference then with a more seasoned developer, where they see, okay, you've seen some stuff, is they will then just pay you more and give you a higher role,
more seniority in the company.
Exactly, and the chance to mentor instead of being mentored in case it's your first time. But I agree, like I would like to see more hands-on questions, like how quickly can you orient yourself in an unfamiliar large code base, for example.
But if, for example, give you a big file with certain functions that's going in, and then
or a whole project, even like with thousands of folders, because that's what daily development is. You have thousands. I don't want to know how many thousands of classes, of millions of lines of code.
How many lines of code does Spotify have, if I may ask?
I don't know, but
you don't even know.
No, but it's probably on a blog post somewhere, and it's definitely in the tens of millions. I don't know. It's hard for me, but see, that would be a good question. Like, what kind of order of magnitude are we talking about? I assume it's somewhere between 100 million and a billion lines of code. No, maybe I don't know. 10 million, 100 million.
We'll see. But see,
like, how do you navigate this? Are you just using global search? Maybe it's not indexed correctly, or how do you use version control? How do you use Git to switch between versions, or how would you approach launching something or dividing up responsibilities? Those things, and again, those things are for the companies personally to add a little personal touch, and make it more closely reflect actual reality.
I think that's what you said is very accurately, and maybe I can quickly give some value within the world of startups. Is the way you said that question interview is to see if the person can quickly get into a big code base, see where the problem is, and the fastness is very important in that. And that's actually where the startup, the two main risks is, one is that you build something that no one needs, and the second thing is that you have a product that a lot of people need, but the competitor goes faster than you. So those are the two major risks. And with the second risk, it's very important to have coders or people that come in that can quickly adapt and quickly change things in the code and are fast up to date with everything that's happening. So it's kind of that fastness is in every tech company very important, and I think that's a good way to ask.
Also
interview.
Debugging. I've heard of like incident simulation. This is common for backend engineers. They'll say, "Oh, we have a outage or something's wrong in production," and then they simulate like as if there was a fire, not a real fire, but something is on fire, and they'll tell you, okay, customer support is coming in with this request. Who's on call? It's the middle of the night. Who do you talk to? And then you have this extra stress. So I definitely heard of simulations like that. You have to debug this thing. How do we mitigate? How do you communicate? What are the workarounds? And can you solve it in time, or make the right trade-offs, the right decisions in those critical minutes? So, there's a lot of creativity.
I like it. You can definitely separate the people that stay cool in these situations and the stressed ones that sometimes make it worse, let's say. I think that was a very good wrap-up of the episode. I would end with maybe the tweet of the week. Which is by someone who's called the 10xer, and it says, "You guys think Karpati had to lead code?" You said this in our group chat. I know what lead code is, but
tell us what lead code is first. Then.
Lead code is kind of a online platform where you can constantly do tests for little coding interviews, and it says gives you feedback on if it's done well or not, and gives you tips and hints to do it better, let's say. But what does it mean with you guys think Karpati had to lead code?
Yeah, so Karpati is a recent new hire of OpenAI. I think he used to work at Tesla and maybe other companies like Google before that, but he's very famous in Silicon Valley as one of the people that goes on podcasts, like a 10x engineer, as you would say.
Yeah.
And the grind they're talking about is preparing for these interviews. So everyone does that just to get a feel for not only the remembering everything technical, but also the stress of the interview. And what you do on LeetCode or other websites like HackerRank is just do all these competitive problems, again, about algorithms and data structures, and you prepare with thousands of questions beforehand in order to have it in your fingers, as we say, ready for the actual interview. And another thing you can also do is, if you have your favorite company, is to do their interview last and have a couple of other ones under your belt
that's all very
before
smart.
that. And Andrew Karpathy, I don't think had to do those things. He's clearly engineering manager or something. And I think if your reputation precedes you, then it's good enough to look at your Twitter and you might skip the interview altogether.
Could be. Now I remember actually Andrei Karpathy. I've seen a little YouTube video. He has a YouTube channel as well where he breaks down certain codes and stuff. So that's as well a must see on YouTube. Well, perfect. I think that was the tweet of the week. People, hopefully you enjoyed our episode 13 of the Unquestioned podcast. And we would love to get feedback from you. What was good, what was not good. Follow us as well on Instagram, because we're over there. And we're going to start posting some more short clips. So please give us a like, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Unquestioned podcast. Bye-bye.